Hi there. This is a bit of a new spot I've never been to. The Hap Ryder Riverfront Theater, which clearly is not in operation as of right now. I've been really admiring the clouds lately. It's been really pretty. I've been finding myself to be really busy or distracted from doing one of these a day, mostly because I've been spending a lot of time with my brother and my family. Had a really good time last night. Watched E.T. for probably the 15th time in my life, but from a completely new perspective. I never watched it after learning about film, and with the experience that I have now, and that movie is certainly, it's really well done. It's awesome. The lighting in that movie is something to really study for sure. Yeah. As of the starting of this recording, my camera was blinking red in the battery, and so I know that means about 20 minutes worth of operation left, roughly. It's give and take. The battery just sucks. It's really not something you can quite predict. So we'll just record until the moment it dies. Yeah, just it's really beautiful out. And I'm not quite certain if I have it at the right f-stop, but I tried to make it so that most of this could be relatively in focus. I've had a couple landscape shots now that, they've got the angle down, but the setting on the camera, the exposure isn't set right so that the focus can be retained over the whole of the image, or at least a larger extent of the image, instead of just the subject. It's a really tricky balance, but it's fun to figure out. First day in the year wearing shorts for casual purposes. The only other time I wore these was for China Hot Springs video shoot, because they were my only shorts. But yeah, the sun is exactly what I need. So good. Ugh, man. Yeah, feeling pretty good today. The last week, and I talked about this briefly, has been just these big gaps of time where I'd rather be dead, and it sucks. It really does. Because I like being alive, and I like feeling good about life. I like feeling. That's a big thing in E.T., that it was always a very emotional film for me growing up, and all of its emotional beats worked for me. But there are some things that in it that really made me uncomfortable as a kid, that I really admire now, because it supports this visual narration as opposed to a literal one or a verbal one. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I was always super sensitive to all the emotional beats. E.T. and Elliot's connection always tugged something in me. I never really understood it, but I always felt afraid for. Was that a bird? I thought that was my camera. Felt very deeply scared and afraid for what happens in that movie. The third act is terrifying. At least it was for me growing up. I've always been, growing up, I was incredibly sensitive and I guess like it's a given if you're a child, but the concept of death was something that always scared me growing up. Um, and that lent to a deeper sensitivity to all manner of things and all manner of expression from people. Like, I really clung onto microaggressions, as you might call it, because, you know, death was so real as a concept to me. Like, a literal end for that's out to get anybody is there and available for anybody. So why express in a manner that's just like dehumanizing to any degree? So like, I was super sensitive to that growing up, and somewhere along the way, like, I got really numb to it. And I think that happens for everybody too, where you just lose that sensitivity as a child. You know, that comes with maturity. But I don't know. I don't think that it's a very good thing. I think that desensitization, this growing up and expectation to become an adult is very destructive for people. It destroys people, or at least changes people. You know, lessening sensitivity to what you feel in life and how people make you feel in life, and like, that just makes a life really boring. You know, sensitivity, sure, it leaves you open and vulnerable, but also it lends to a better experience, a worthwhile experience. In my downtime, when I'm feeling like really bummed out and wanting to die, is when I don't feel anything other than doom for death. And so, like, I don't know, something to think about. Somebody's pulling up here. I don't know if they're an owner. I know that this is technically private property, but I don't think that really, yeah, it looks like they're just turning around. I don't think that, you know, this place is clearly out of commission. That, I think that it is. I mean, look at how, I think that this is an outdoor stage. I've never seen a performance here ever in my time in Fairbanks. I think this is a stage, and you can tell pretty clearly the condition of it. Back to E.T., man. What happened to Steven Spielberg? Dude, that guy made Ready Player One 3-4 years ago now. And like, you can see like the craftsmanship in it. I'm not gonna take away that, because, you know, the dude knows how to make movies, but it's a completely different echelon of film that is just for the express purpose of consumption, to be seen and over and done with. E.T., Jaws, a ton of other of his film work that I actually still haven't seen, like Saving Private Ryan. They're films that last a lifetime. At least, I would like to believe so. For the majority of the opening of, like the first half of E.T., my family and I were watching it, and it was really hard to connect with it emotionally, because for one, Elliot is a very high-pitched kid, and I always thought that he was really annoying growing up. Seeing Elliot made me a quiet kid growing up, because I didn't want to be that annoying. Now, like, the kid who plays Elliot, I don't remember the actor's name, but my God, he is like the greatest child actor to have ever been in film. Like, I think he did it. I don't know if that has yet been surpassed, but like him, Drew Barrymore was incredible. I assume that they just like yelled at her to make her cry the way she did, which is kind of a sad thing. I don't know. I think that those kids had a very were very connected emotionally and were able to utilize that. You know, a lot of that does come, or commonly you can see that coming from Hollywood, from a very dark place. These children coming from very dark backgrounds and lifestyles that are out of their control.